Clark County Today is presented by Cano Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting canorealestate.com.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Brown here with your Clark County Today video update for Wednesday, January 6th. Well, most of you were likely transfixed as we were on the events taking place in Washington, D.C. today, where protesters stormed the Capitol building and interrupted Senate proceedings to certify the November election. Clark County Today editor Ken Vance offered his thoughts about the events of the day in a column. Here's Ken with some of that.
Today was yet another emotional day in our country. I knew it was going to be a difficult day. I've been following the recent rhetoric about what likely was going to take place in Washington, D.C. I've even been in communication with one friend who's in our nation's capital today to participate in the protests. I want to be very clear. I condemn violence and criminal activity in all forms. I don't justify it if the cause is great or significant enough. But what happened today was a result of what has been allowed to take place in our country over the past 4 years, and more intensely in the past 7 or 8 months. Violence and criminal activity of those protesting President Trump and even social justice has largely been tolerated with very little accountability. For the most part, conservatives like myself have been muted, while the liberal agenda has been amplified and supported by national media that shares its bias. The final tipping point was the November election, which no right-minded individual should deny was an absolute mess. So today saddens me, but no more than many days have saddened me in recent months and years.
All right, thanks so much, Ken. If you have thoughts on this, and be honest, who doesn't, be sure to head over to the Clark County Today Facebook page and weigh in there. The only thing we ask is that you keep your comments free of profanity and please be respectful of others. Well, back here locally, Clark County hit 14,000 COVID-19 cases today with 185 reported since Tuesday. 5 deaths were also reported, bringing the total to 137 confirmed deaths due to the virus, as well as 12 suspected. Hospitalizations continue to increase as well, with 78 confirmed and 4 suspected cases, making up just over 14% of bed capacity. Just over 1,100 people currently have what is considered an active infection, which is a new high for the pandemic. Well, today, Washington's Department of Health issued guidance for who will be allowed to receive a COVID-19 vaccine once the state goes into phase 1B. The state will actually be splitting that next phase into 4 tiers, starting with people age 70 and older, or those over 50 who live in multi-generational households. Next would be critical workers over 50, including teachers, food processing employees, prison and jail staff, and law enforcement. And then anyone over 16 with a qualifying underlying condition. Then people in congregate settings under 50 in the 4th tier. The state also updated vaccine distribution numbers today. So far, nearly 426,000 doses of Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines have been distributed. Only around 110,000 of those have been administered. DOH expects to receive another 104,000 doses this week and plans to continue rolling out vaccines for long-term care facilities and tribal communities. Well, following changes in the state's guidelines for reopening schools, the Hockinson School Board held a special meeting this week to consider a planned transition to in-person classes. So far, the district has been offering instruction to small groups of students, including kindergartners and special needs children. Noting that the district has had no cases of COVID-19 transmission in school buildings, board member Tim Hawkins said it was time for them to push for a more aggressive reopening plan.
The decision tree is a guideline. It's not a law, it's not a rule, it's not a proclamation, it's not even a recommendation. Literally, it's just a guideline. And, you know, one of the things I've loved about Hockinson all these decades that I've been here is Hockinson's ability to be creative and lead and find a way. And I will tell you, I am disappointed in where we're at as a board, where we're at as a district, we're not leading.
Hawkins pushed to have all grade levels back in classrooms by the beginning of next month. Ultimately, the board approved a plan to begin in-class learning for younger students starting January 19th, with another meeting next week to consider Superintendent Steve Marshall's plan for the other grade levels. You can read more at ClarkCountyToday.com. In health news, the past year, of course, has been overwhelmingly dominated by COVID-19 and the pandemic. What many may not know is that Alzheimer's research is actually at an incredible point in its history. Multiple milestones have been reached both nationally and globally. The local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association is a part of that process and a part of bringing an end to this disease. We had the opportunity to hear from the association about how many of these milestones will impact people in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The high points touch on everything from new drugs that treat the symptoms of Alzheimer's to research on how COVID-19 could affect those with the disease, to closing equity gaps in Alzheimer's resources, and even how we're incredibly close to developing a blood test that could detect the disease. For more on the work being done by the Alzheimer's Association, read our full story at ClarkCountyToday.com. Lastly, today, if you have unwanted medications lying around but you keep missing those occasional disposal events, we have some good news for you. Clark County Public Health is teaming up with the nonprofit Medication Education and Disposal Project to provide free disposal of expired, unwanted, or unused medication safely and conveniently all year round. That project has activated more than 150 drop-off sites across the state, and they have plans to add more. Of those sites accept controlled and non-controlled medications in any dosage form in their original container or a sealed bag. Sites don't accept herbal remedies, vitamins, supplements, mercury-containing thermometers, sharps, illicit drugs, or pesticide products. Now, in Clark County, there are 12 drop-off sites residents can visit during business hours to dispose of those unwanted medications. People who would prefer mailing back unwanted medicine for disposal can request free prepaid, pre-authorized packages. Unwanted medications should not be put in garbage or recycling carts and should never be flushed because they can contaminate local water supplies and landfills. You can find out more and the full list of drop-off locations at ClarkCountyToday.com. And that is your Wednesday check of just some of the stories we're following for you at ClarkCountyToday.com. Head over to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see when stories are posted and share your own thoughts. News, tips, and story ideas can be emailed to news@ClarkCountyToday.com. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you again tomorrow.